Good morning, everybody.
Good
Daily
morning.
Chat here with Steve and, no, that way, Claude.
You guys are both up.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Up? What do you mean by up, Steve?
Well, I'm on the bottom, so you guys are both on the top. Did everybody have a nice Thanksgiving?
Very good.
Very good.
I had a, well, we don't have Thanksgiving here in Australia, so
well, we had
it was a good break.
We had a chicken for Thanksgiving because that's what you're supposed to have.
We had 3 chickens, but yeah.
You're only supposed to have one here because you could only have 6 people, so you couldn't have a turkey. That was too many people. So
let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4.
I need to fix this.
5. I think we only had 5, but that's because the family split up. My daughter went to her in-laws, and normally we have about 12, and then my niece has some small kids, and she was worried about her mother, who was at our place, and myself and my wife maybe being exposed to stuff because of the kids, but that was their choice, not ours. We didn't tell them not to come. So,
well, we had to be careful.
Yeah, we had to be.
Oh, good. I said we had to be careful so we didn't go to jail in Oregon. If you have more than 6, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Huh. Oh, no kidding. Yep. 30 days in jail. It was a class 3 misdemeanor and a $1,500 fine.
I wonder if they're doing social distancing in there.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, you got to love Oregon. Cocaine and heroin are legal, but turkey isn't. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. On to the show.
On to the show. Speaking of little things, I see Almar is in the chat. Hello, Almar. Can you send us an email, please? Because we still haven't got an email from you.
Yeah, I'll send that so we can get you your prize out. If you'll send that, in fact, here, let me put mine in the deal here, and send it to me directly, and I'll talk to you, and we'll get whichever product you want out to you from our Teespring. Send your email there, and we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome.
And I'm working on getting some long sleeve T-shirts and sweatshirts, but I've been having a problem with Teespring. Their website's sometimes a little hard to work with, but I just have to figure out how to negotiate it, and I have to call them or write them a little email, and they take a little while to get back to you. And so
he's saying the links don't work.
To Teespring?
I'm not sure what he's referring to there.
Al, to which link? Teespring or the email link?
We'll wait for him to get back on that. Whilst we're waiting for him to get back on that, today's topic. Drum roll, please.
Hey, let's say good morning to everybody.
Huh. He's right. It doesn't show
up. Today's topic is LEDs.
Figure that out. LEDs.
So, LEDs.
Yeah,
anybody got questions regarding LEDs?
I know nothing about
light-emitting
LEDs.
Diodes.
I have questions, but I'm slowly learning them. There's a little engine I bought to run my track cleaner for my narrow gauge, and a little Hustler, HO scale Hustler, but it's been fixed to run on narrow gauge track. And it didn't have lights, didn't have a decoder in it, so I put a decoder in it and lights, and that was an adventure and a half. And it's packed like a sardine can now, but I got it in there. So anyway, the lights that I used were 3mm sunny white LEDs. Got it from TCS through Nate's Light Iron Hobbies. And they make a real nice headlight light. It's almost like a warm white versus the real bright sunny lights. Then the other thing I needed, I had bought some solder, which is, of course, important in putting in the decoder in or the LEDs. This is solder I bought. This is 10 feet. Well, actually, I got 2 packages here of 0.015 diameter, 44 rosin, which is 63% tin, 37% lead. It's a number 6644 of the Kester rosin. And see that. That's what I use. You can see how small the diameter is on it. Works really good for doing your wiring and stuff in a loco. So I bought some of this instead of using flux like I use on my turnouts and stuff. And then of course you got to have some resistors to put in your put in the line so you don't burn your. Where are we? Don't burn out your LEDs. These I got from Hobbytown here in town. They carry some Radio Shack electronic stuff now, which is kind of handy since Radio Shack no longer exists in our town. And then the last thing I picked up, I buy stuff from a place called All Electronics. This is their paper catalog they send with the order, but they're also online, allelectronics.com. And they've got pretty much anything you'd need for electronic stuff on your layout. But I was looking in theirs and looked up some LEDs, and the first thing I found was this little box. It's got I can't remember now how many's in here. There's at least 100 in here, and I think it's a lot more than that. In fact, I'm sure it's a lot more, maybe 200 LEDs in here. They're white. Now, these are the cool white, not the sunny white, but there's cool white, blue, green, cool white, blue, green, red. What was the other one? Can't remember the other one. I may have to pull one out and check it and see. But there's 2 sizes, 5mm and 3mm. I got that whole box for like $8 and change from All Electronics. The other thing I bought was a tester, which comes in really handy. And it's this little gadget here, and you just plug your LED in the front, and then you push your button here. Push the button right here, and it lights up. It's if you get your LED in there the proper way.
Hey, since my fingers are not working to type this, let's say good morning to everybody first. We got a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got Crazy Joe. Hello, good morning. New Fenris Bill, hello. Okay, I know I saw Sparky in there someplace. So we got John Schuylkill River Valley. We got Marty M. Boom, Sean McGee, Dwight Curley, Al Marr, Joe Rader. That's where are we got Jason, Train Freak. Good morning, everybody. Oh, and we've got Roy, Container Man. Good morning, Roy.
Hey, Roy.
How are you?
Morning, all.
I think that's it. Okay. I want to say good morning to everybody. I want to use this thing.
Just for everyone who was interested in what Claude was saying, I found the Ultronics website and I've linked it in the description down below. So take a look in there if you want to browse any of their products. Yeah,
they've got some good stuff in there, and they're reasonable in price-wise. At least I thought so. They've probably got a lot more in there than I know about, but I can't imagine what you'd be looking for that you couldn't find in there. And they have good service. They send their stuff pretty quick. I haven't had to return anything, so I don't know anything about that. But I don't know. They're pretty good for what I've used them for. I've ordered 2 or 3 times from them, and they're pretty good.
It was mentioned in the chat earlier as well about warm white LEDs being good for steam locos and early diesels. Who was that said that? I think that was, yes, that was Jason.
Jason.
Yeah, I'll agree
So,
with that. They're great for that.
I just want to show you an early diesel locomotive that I have. It's an XA class West Australian Government Railways locomotive, and that has a keep alive in it and warm white LED. So if you're curious to see what a warm white LED looks like, that's what they look like.
Yeah,
and I believe I also
more realistic.
I also have one in the A class as well. And that's only one LED with two fiber optic cables connected to it.
Well, and the nice thing too about a lot of the decoders now, probably all of them. I know this little bitty one that I say little bitty. It didn't seem little bitty trying to shove it in that hustler, but it was a TCS decoder, but it had all kinds of lighting effects on it, even though it was just a mobile decoder. It had Mars light. You can make Mars light. You can make a strobe out of it. All kinds of stuff. So you get once you get the LED in there, then you just take the CV and you program the CV and get what you want out of it. But it's phenomenal to me what they can do with it. You know, the decoders and stuff to make your lights and your sounds and everything else work like a real one. But it was fun working with the LEDs. It's a learning curve, at least it was for me. Not only soldering, but figuring out how to pack them in and not worried about breaking them. That's the nice thing. What I didn't realize about an LED is that lens is actually epoxy. The lens on one of these is solid epoxy. So you can grab it with tweezers, or not tweezers, but pliers, and shove it in, somewhere that you need to put it. The only thing you have to watch for are the leads, that you don't break those. I watched a guy on YouTube. He cut the leads off where he just barely had any room to solder anything on there, and did the same thing with his resistor. So his resistor and his leads on his LED weren't as long as the leads on this LED, which gave him a lot more room. And of course, then your wire diameter is important when you're trying to shove it in places. The bigger the wire, of course, the harder it is to bend around stuff. So I've tried to find the silicone wire. Works pretty good. I've not used any of the magnetic, they call it magnetic wire. And I think they use those on the really, really small LEDs, especially the ones that are on a little pad. There's another site that I ran into. Let me look it up here right quick so I can remember the proper name of it. Where'd it go here? But they do all kinds of stuff for lighting on your layout, especially excuse me, especially in the cars and stuff. I've got some stuff coming in from them that'll probably be here either today or Monday. It's called Model Train Technology. I think I talked about this maybe last week. If you've not heard of them, go to there. It's modeltraintechnology.com, and they've got a nice photo gallery that you can look at, and they explain all the stuff that they have. They've got decoders that do stuff on your layout, so you can have say like an apartment building with lights in each window, and you can set those to come on and off at different times. So it looks like there's somebody in the building, turn the lights on and off. They've got.
Sorry, what was that? What was that one again, Claude?
It's called Model Train Technology. .com. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the link now, and I'm going to stick it in the description down below.
It's a very good site too, and they've got obviously they have LEDs all the way down to Z scale, but they've got some of the really small stuff that you can get. They've also come out with a full size catalog now, which they didn't used to have, but they have lighting for everything for your for your buildings, your control, your track control, signaling, and also for your cars and stuff. And they've come up with looks like a really ingenious way of doing axle pickup on your cars. They call it a floating pickup, and it doesn't actually attach to the car at all. You wrap it around the axles and they float on there. And then you solder a wire down from the inside down to the center of that brass strip, and it picks it up. And they say after all the testing they've done, it's the best thing they've come up with, so that it doesn't put any resistance on the wheels and makes it harder to pull your cars through. But they've got a whole bunch of stuff on theirs. They're out of Orlando, Florida, and this will be the first thing I've gotten from them, so I'll let you know how it goes. But I found the site and I thought, man, that's a really good way to do that. And so that's, with my HOM3 stuff being such lightweight, I didn't want any more resistance on the wheels than I had to have. So I'll be using them for that kind of stuff. As far as I know, I will be. I want to try it out and see how it works.
And the beauty about a lot of decoders these days as well, particularly with TCS, is they come with the resistors as part of the chip itself. So you don't even have to add that in yourself. That makes it so much simpler.
Yeah, on the drop-in decoders, you're right. The ones that have a motherboard and then the decoder plugs into that, they do have the resistors on there. The one that I put in was a typical hardwired decoder, and it didn't have the resistors in it. I had to put them in. Not a big deal. It's just a couple more solder joints. And there again, if you cut the leads small enough, short enough, you can put your heat shrink over all of that at one time. I should have had that little hustler up here, and I could have shown you what I had inside of it. Although I'm afraid to take the shell off of it now that I got it back on.
Wait.
Yeah, you've got a little more room in that on that picture than I have.
Yeah, that's my DA class. It's a 3D print loco, just like the others. That's the one I've done myself. That's a photo of it after it got damaged in the mail, so you can see the number 2 end there. The long hood end is a bit damaged. But ignoring that, you can see how I've done the installation of the lights. I don't think I can zoom in on this. But if you look at the end where my friend's hand is, you can see where the LED is wrapped in shrink wrap and has 2-part epoxy glued in there with 2... I'm having a mental blank now. Fiber optics, that's the word I'm looking for, fiber optics. It's got 2 fiber optic cables which go into the lens, one above the other, so it looks like there's actually 2 lights in there instead of 1. And that's just your standard 3mm LED. Underneath all that white shrink wrap as well is the resistor. And of course then I buggered up the wires. I found out the hard way that the positive wire is the common, not the negative wire. So that's why the blue and yellows are swapped over in that photo. And of course, they just go straight into the decoder from there. Common blue, white for the front, yellow for the back. And it's as simple as that. That's installing LEDs in a locomotive.
I'm getting some static on here. Was that you, Steve?
No.
I think that was Steve.
I'm not.
Let's blame it on Steve. He's not here, is he? We blame
No.
him.
No.
I don't have
Otherwise,
any.
if Heath was here, we blame him.
I don't know why I'd have static.
I don't know. It was weird. It sounded like you were moving stuff.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway.
don't think it was me.
But yeah, there's
Just-
all kinds of neat applications for LEDs in a model railroad layout. They're perfect for that. Another thing I'm going to try is to incorporate LEDs with some fiber optics, because fiber optics have some good uses in for some small lights, stuff like that, and where you need a very small bulb type thing, and you can get the fiber optic in there, and have it just showing just a small part of it, so you could get it look like a flashlight or look like a candle or something like that. So I'll be trying some of that too. At least that's the plan. Right now, I'm still trying to get all the rest of it done first.
Yeah, doing that is great for locomotive headlights, especially if you've only got those big 3mm LEDs and you've got 1.5mm holes where the headlights are. So that sort of setup, the way I did it, which was with two-part epoxy with the fiber optics glued to the end of the LED, and then, of course, shrink wrapped around there to hold it all in place.
Yeah.
That seems to be the best way that I found that works for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, of course, it stops the light bleed, too.
Fiber optics is pretty cool. But so are the LEDs. The LEDs are fantastic because they don't draw a lot of power. And you can get a lot of them in, especially if you put them in series, you can get a lot of LEDs on one circuit.
And they don't get hot.
Yeah. Now the strip lighting that I'm using, excuse me, the strip lighting that I'm using under the balances, it does get warm. So I'm not sure, but I think it may just be the property of the strip lighting. And the one that I'm using, of course, I cut off of a bigger roll, and they tell you when you get it, don't hook it up with it still in the roll because you won't like the outcome. I'm assuming it'll melt it all together. But it does get a little warm on the balance. I've got it stuck just to the back side of the balance, and if you put your hand on it, you can feel the heat on it. But it's not abnormally hot. It's not as hot as an incandescent bulb would get, but it does get warm.
And they'll last longer, too, than your incandescent bulbs.
Oh, yeah. By far, they'll last longer. And, of course, in the house here, every time I replace a bulb, it's an LED bulb because that's what's going to be the only thing you're going to be able to get pretty much. Even my fluorescent bulbs I have, even the fluorescent fixtures in this house, I've been changing to LED. So they're really good. Really good. They burn a lot less electric and they last a lot longer.
A friend of mine had this fantastic layout of Newcastle. Now, this is Newcastle in New South Wales, railway station. And he had a row of LEDs set up, and you press a button to turn them on, and they'd come on 1, 2, 3, 4, one after the other. And they looked, he had it set up to like a circuit that made them flicker and then come on, like a fluorescent light. And then there's one in the series that doesn't come on fully. It just stays flickering, like it's a broken one. Oh, it looked fantastic when you watched it. I wish I still had the video for it. It's gone, long gone now. But
that's the other thing.
It was beautiful.
You can get like red LED and put up in, if you've got a steam engine, and put it in for your firebox and get the firebox flickered. And your decoders, at least the TCS decoders, have that option in your lighting setup for firebox flicker. And so, you don't even have to have the special bulbs. They sell those too, but I think it was before the decoders came out that would do that. But that's something I doubt I will do because most of my steam locos are narrow gauge and they're not much bigger than scale. So that's smaller than I want to deal with. I had a hard enough time with the HO scale Hustler, and it was bigger scale, or same scale, but a bigger body on it than my steam locos, and yet I still had trouble packing everything into it.
The other great thing about LEDs is they don't just have to be in locos. There's some great options out there now where you can buy circuit boards. Guida Valley Models here in Australia does setups where they have LED kits and circuit boards that you can do like neon signs on a building, or you can even do welding kits where it flashes blue, like you're welding, and then it goes red and fades away. So it looks like you've just welded something. And you stick that underneath a tractor or inside your loco pits and park a loco over the top of it. You can't see the LEDs. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing all the special effects you can do with some of that stuff. And I've seen the circuits that were separate from that, but they're like I say, there's so many of the decoders, even the stationary decoders, not stationary decoders, but just the mobile decoders. You can get some that are not very much money. The one I bought to put in this one was $40, I think. And the only reason I paid more for it than what you can get it for is because it has keep lives on it. So that which I wanted for the track cleaning car. But you could probably get that same decoder for $20-something. Well, there's nothing says you can't use that as a stationary decoder. I'm going to use a mobile decoder for my turntable when I hook it up, so I can control the turntable with my controller, and run it and do it whatever speed, any of that kind of stuff that I want to do. Which is a cool idea. A little harder to do with a straight rheostat type of setup, but there's all kinds of places where you can use a decoder and use the lighting effects that gives you with your LEDs and your fiber optics.
Yeah, I never thought about putting a mobile decoder on a turntable, but I guess if you turn it up too fast, you got a turntable that looks a bit like a helicopter.
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah, but yeah, I saw somebody had done that, and I thought, well, that's a great way to power it. And the nice thing about the turntable that I got from Kitwood Hills over in England, the motor that he gives you with that is a little can motor, and it's geared very low, so it moves really slow. Because I've got it hooked up right now to DC, and I can turn the DC controller all the way to high, and it'll still just barely move around. It moves faster than if you just barely turn it on, but it doesn't just fly around. So the gearing on that helps with that too. Mm-hmm. But with a DC decoder or DCC decoder, you can adjust that to only come on so far.
That's a good point.
You can adjust your highest step. And so that even if you turned it all the way up, it wouldn't go any faster than that highest setup. So,
speak of the devil, guess who just popped on?
Hi,
we have Heath.
It's all your fault.
It is all his fault. Blame Heath.
It's all Heath's fault.
Morning, Heath.
Geez, we got most of the Sidetrack Sunday guys in here as well now.
His ears must have been burning.
Oh, yes.
When are we going to do our contest or whatever it is, our train trivia contest with them?
Oh, yes, with Sidetrack Sunday. We need you guys to email us. Send us an email. We'll talk about it.
Trivia War.
Trivia War. Sidetrack Sunday versus Back on Track. Oh, that could get messy. Whilst we're off topic here and off track, we actually have an intermission video given to us. Thank you by Mr. Claude here.
Oh yeah.
So I will just try and pull that one up.
It's not Academy Award winning, that's for sure.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. Share screen.
Well, let me before you start it, Allie.
Yeah.
Let me kind of explain what it is. I have a setup on part of my top level that I've got two different backdrops. Okay, one over here and one on this side. And I needed something a seam break there. I was going to put a mountain in a tunnel, but instead I went with a cut. If you've seen my channel, you probably saw some of that. But I got rock molds on it the other day, got it plastered and got rock molds on it. And I told Steve the next time I do rock molds and I go to paint them, I was going to do a short video on them. kind of showing how easy it is to do. Now, this video is time-lapsed, so it only takes about 1.5 minutes to see what I did. It's kind of hard to see what I'm actually doing other than to tell you that it's mainly washes. The first one I put on is a gray wash. The second one I put on, well, it's a gray paint. I put a little more heavier paint on with the first one. And then the second
Before
one,
you start describing, should I press play?
sure, you can.
That way you can describe it as it's going. There
So
we go.
the first one I'm putting on the gray. When I put the gray in the cup with the water, I put a lot of water in there, but I don't mix it all up. I get the water the color I want, and then I can still dip down to the bottom of the pan, or the jar in this case, and get some thicker paint on there. So then I can put it in thicker places. If I get it too thick, I just take some of the thinner water at the top of the jar and put back over that same spot, and then that gives me a little thinner look to it. The next step I do is I use a raw sienna and put a little red in it, a little rust in it. It can look like brown in places, but you can see here I'm putting it on with a brush, and then I take a paper towel and just dab it off. If I get it on there too strong, I just take the paper towel and wipe it off or blot it off. And it's amazing what it looks like. And as you go, you can kind of get the feel for how it's working for you. And if it looks bad, you just paint it over and go again. But this is all acrylic paint. Now this is the black wash. This is a lot thinner wash here. And the main thing I use this for, I do put it over almost all of it, but I mainly get the darker paint, the thicker pieces of paint into the crevices. And so it gives you that shadow, that would be in the narrow crevices. At the very end of this video, which is coming up right here, you'll see just a still picture of what it looks like. There it is. And I haven't put anything on it yet as far as vegetation or anything yet. This is just the painted plaster. So you can see what difference it makes from that white from the very first. And this took me 30 minutes maybe to do all that. So it's real easy to do. You don't need to be afraid of screwing it up, because you really won't screw it up. What you don't see in this, you'll see in my next update that I do, because I took a regular video from the other side. But I also show, just to the right of this, there's a volcanic monolith on the backdrop that I was kind of trying to emulate to make it look like it fit in that place, because it looks kind of out of place in this photo. But if you see it with the other one, it looks a little better. And of course, once I get some vegetation and stuff and some color on there, it should blend in a lot better. But I wanted to show you guys how easy it was to do that plaster rock painting. It's amazing how easy it is to do. So there you go.
That looks really good, Claude.
Yeah,
Fantastic work, Claude. Looks absolutely fantastic. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Sure.
I'm sure that answers a lot of questions when people go, wow, look at your mountain. That is fantastic.
Yeah, and that was the one thing I was really scared when that mountain was just nothing but white. I was really worried about starting to paint on it because I didn't want to screw it up. I don't think you can screw it up. And you just keep adding stuff. In fact, on the big mountain, I even used some green, because the green I put in some of the places where there would have been water, like around the waterfall and the stream that's on the front. There's green on the sides to get a little bit of moss look to it. But you put it on there, even if you put it on thick, you just take a paper towel and dab it back off. And I end up with more paint on my paper towel than I do on what I'm painting. But the effect is, it makes that effect much more subtle, and it really, really brings it out, and it looks good. And then when you put all your vegetation and that sort of thing on there, it looks like it's supposed to be there. So anyway, that's kind of a little insight on how I did it. And, there's other ways to do it, but I've seen guys take 30 minutes to paint one rock, and I'm going, yeah, it looks good. But man, if you got as much as I got to do, then you're going to be painting for a long time.
And nobody's
thanks for
probably
that,
going to
Claude.
notice the difference anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, you could go with different colors. I chose the grayer rock, the more volcanic type rock, over some of the lighter sandstone stuff that you also see in Colorado, especially in Southwest Colorado.
Well, something too that I don't think people noticed in your video, but you showed me, was that actually matches your backdrop.
Yeah, well, and I'll show that. I'll show that in my next update.
So I mean,
I'll show that picture of it.
That's going to fit in really good.
Yeah.
I got an echo.
On that update, I show kind of down in the jar of the colors that I use and that sort of thing in the acrylic paints. I just buy cheap acrylic paints from Hobby Lobby and use it in a cheap brush and lots of water. It's got a lot of water in it, so you don't get too thick a paint on there. But if you do, you haven't ruined it. Just go back over it with a different color.
Yeah,
you'll be amazed at how it actually brings it all together and it starts to pop out, and you go, man, that looks real. So, but it is pretty easy to do.
Did the echo go away, Steve? I just played with a couple of buttons, so
yeah, it wasn't,
that might have fixed it.
It wasn't much.
Cool. Steve, I've got another question for you.
For me, okay.
Yeah.
You
got your re-railer?
It better not be about LEDs. How many? I got a yellow one and a black one.
No, I just need to make sure that you got your re-railer.
I got my re-railer. I'm never.
If you guys want a shirt that reminds Steve to get his re-railer and your re-railer, or you want one of these beautiful pillows or a beautiful shirt like what Claude's got, then you need to go down to our links in the description below and visit our Teespring store. We've got awesome stuff on there. We've got hats. We've got all sorts of stuff coming.
Al's right, though. The link isn't working, so we'll have to fix that.
All right. So we'll fix that and then go down to the link. But also, whilst you're down there, why not leave a comment or like or subscribe, especially if you find this video interesting or any of our other videos. Jump down there and have a look.
And hit the thumbs up, too.
Yes, like and subscribe.
Here's the link. I'll put the link in the chat.
There you go.
Should get you there.
Because supposedly there's some algorithm that's in YouTube that if you don't hit the thumbs up, it doesn't share the video as far. If you hit the thumbs up, it forces the algorithms to share the video more.
Same with the comments as well. Even if you've got nothing to say, just write LEDs. That's all you have to do. Put something in the comments because it helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And it'll get us out there, and hopefully it'll get you out there as well if you've got a channel.
I'm also hearing, too, that you got to hit the subscribe button twice with YouTube.
Sometimes with YouTube, you'll find that if you hit subscribe but you don't watch any of the videos, it'll unsubscribe you.
Yeah.
So you've got to watch the videos as well as subscribe. And you've also got to interact with the videos, which is liking, commenting, etc. So otherwise, it'll drop off and we won't see you. And you won't find us when we've got another episode of either Trackside or Trackside Beans.
Yeah, YouTube has gotten very sneaky. So you got to...
Yes.
Yeah. Very sneaky.
Well, we had some questions in the chat. Heath wants to know why I sound so formal. I didn't know I sounded formal, but maybe it's because I'm more mature than you are. I don't know.
Yeah.
which translates as old.
We're seasoned.
Yeah.
Veterans.
And then what was the other one? Oh, thanks, Sean, for that comment. Heath wanted to know why light to dark instead of dark to light. Okay.
Isn't that's weird. I know that, but that's true. You do it that way, and I don't know why it works. It's opposite.
Yeah, and I've seen guys do it where they start out with the light colors first and end with the dark colors. Now I end usually with the black to get everything to pop out. It really makes the crevices in the rock to really pop.
I think that's what
it tones the overall look down just a little bit, so it looks more natural.
I think that's why you use it dark, because it finds the recesses and the cracks and stuff, and accents that.
And I use the gray first because that's the base color I'm going for. And then I add the red and that kind of stuff. Now I put a little raw sienna in with the gray usually. It changes the color of the gray just a little bit, but I don't put very much in it. And then I'll come back and do the red or the green. And I've even used like yellow ochre, some of that. Just depends on what look you're going for. But if you, like say, if you look at my next update that I'm going to do, and I don't know when it's coming out yet, but I will show the monolith. It looks like a monolith to me anyway. It looks like a volcanic uplift is what it looks like. And that's kind of what I was trying to replicate right there in the foreground on the rock that I did. So it'll make more sense as to why I went for that color versus the lighter sandstone colors that you see even behind the other volcanic monolith. The mountain is much more of a beige, brown beige sandstone look than just the plain rock. The plain rock is much darker. Yeah, so to me it looks like volcanic uplift, which I'm sure that's what it was.
I think it does too.
Yeah,
It probably was.
but that's why I went that way. I have used some white dry brushing, but not on the rocks. I haven't done any white dry brushing on the rocks, which a lot of people do to highlight the sun on it. That's not to say you couldn't do that. I just didn't do that. I did do that on some of the water effects that I had with the white, but I haven't done it on the rocks. And I've seen guys on YouTube that do that and do the white, and it looks really good. But it's all about the look you're after. In my case, I'm not looking for that little small, tiny small scene where you get the rock reflecting in a photograph or something. I'm after the full effect. So, and for me, it looks like what I want.
You got to stand back and see it to take it in.
Yeah. From the very start, I wanted it when you walked in the room to go, whoa, when you first walk in. And I think I've got that with the mountain, but then with this to the right of what I was doing to show you today, there'll be another trestle bridge going across there with that other backdrop back there. And that should give you another one of those looks of, good depth and look like it's a lot bigger than it is. Hopefully that's what it'll come out. But
maybe we should get back on track again, back to LED, seeing as we've got about 15 minutes left of the stream. Am I right? 20 minutes left of the stream.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So has anyone got any questions regarding LEDs? I think there were some earlier in the chat, but I think I missed them.
I'm no help because I know nothing about LEDs.
That's all right. You've got Claude and I to help you.
So I'm learning. I'm just listening and learning.
Oh, Sean McGee has one that says it's about the rocks, though. He's talking about rock formations. Anyone seen the videos of rock cuts with the drilling marks after blasting? And I've not seen any videos of that, but I've seen that in real life on the highway. Do a cut for a highway or something. I'm not sure how I would do it either. That's maybe something that you need to practice with a little bit and test. You might try a real thin round file, like a rat tail file, but a thin, small one.
Good idea.
And a straight edge. I would use a straight edge to keep the line straight because you don't want it to wander off as you're doing it. And then you can put it in there at whatever angle you wanted those holes to be and do it all the way across the face. It would be tedious, but that would probably give you your look.
You'd have to do it as probably part of the molding process as well, or maybe even if you're using something like Sculptamold or something, just to, as it's drying, just to run something up and down with a straight edge, sure. And just run it up and down like that until you get that nice sort of drill hole effect, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing I'd say about that video that I did. Some of that's got Sculptamold on it. Sculptamold does not take the paint like regular plaster does, like regular hydrocal. Hydrocal takes it much, much better. All of the Sculptamold that I used, it tends to, it'll take a little bit of paint, but the paint just tends to stand on top, and the water stands on top. It doesn't want to soak into the Sculptamold. I don't know why, but every time I've used Sculptamold, it comes out much lighter. And so I end up using the fusion fiber that I have, and I'm going to color it, and I go over that, over Sculptamold areas with that covering, and it takes care of the problem. But yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know if somebody knows the answer to that, but I don't know why Sculptamold won't take the paint the same way that hydrocal does.
It's got something to. I was going to say maybe the paper or something in the Sculptamold because the plaster does. Yeah,
it's weird. It just doesn't. For some reason, it won't soak in nearly as much. Heath asked, "Is this just about LEDs and locos, or LEDs for modeling in general?" For modeling in general, Heath. We talked a little bit about some of that stuff before you got here. And Fred's right. Yeah, that's a cheap source of LEDs is Christmas lights when they're on clearance. But there again, Fred, I got this whole box, which I can't remember how many's in here. There's probably at least 10 in each one of these compartments, and there's 10 compartments, so it's at least 100. It may be more than that. And there's 5 different colors and 2 different sizes, and I got it for $8 and change. So, and that's all they are is LEDs. There's no other thing on them like a Christmas light comes with.
And the beauty about those boxes afterwards is once you've done with all the LEDs is they're great for things like couplers and springs for couplers and stuff like that. Screws.
Yeah, screws and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, those boxes are great.
But even this package here of LEDs that I got, these were only, they were less than $2 for, let's see how many's in here. Can't see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them here was less than $2.
So that'll do 5 locos easy.
Yeah, yeah. And then of course these resistors I got from Hobbytown, which is their Radio Shack resistors. It was $1.50 for 5 of them. I think you can probably find them cheaper than that. So I paid more for the solder that I used, that Kester 44 rosin solder in the 0.015 diameter, very, very small. That cost a little bit more. I don't remember off the top of my head what that was, but it was, solder's not cheap. And then my LED tester, which this thing is fantastic to have, because you can test it before you put it in the loco pretty easy with it. And this was $5. And I'm assuming it's got a battery in there, and doesn't have any way to change it unless you, I guess, open the whole thing. But yeah, LEDs are pretty cheap. They're the hardest thing. The worst thing about them to me is they're small, and trying to get them in. That's not the LED's fault.
No. Heath's got an interesting question here. It's a little bit more technical and complex. He says, does anyone have a DCC controller for LED that they like? I really want to do a review on the NCE Illuminator. Now, I haven't seen one of those before. The DigiKeys DR4018 and the Model Train Technology LSC2. I haven't seen either of those products either, so you might have to explain to everybody what those products are. I mean, if Shannon were here, he'd probably be all over it, but those are new products to me, so you might have to explain to us what they are.
I read a little bit about the Model Train Technology, and I'm assuming it's the same one he's talking about there. I read about it, but I couldn't explain it really well to you. But it's where you plug your LEDs and your circuits to it, and you can do several, and then you can program the circuits on time or all that kind of stuff. I'm not ready to buy one yet, but I may down the road. They also have them for the fiber optics, and they've got the fiber optic stuff that you can plug into them also. So that's that's a good deal. Go check that website out, Model Train Technology.
Link in the description.
Yeah, they've got some good products there. Like I say, I haven't tried any of them yet. My first order from them is coming hopefully today. And the other one, the DigiKeys, I don't do anything with DigiKeys, so I couldn't.
No, neither do I.
Couldn't say anything about that. And Bernard asked if you could set the CVs to time the lineup for a roundhouse turntable. I don't know. I really don't know. Somebody that's smarter than me probably could. I haven't ever, actually, tell you the truth, I have yet to get in and change CV settings except on my F3s that I put the TCS decoder in, because they have what they call audio assist, and you can go into that program and it'll actually tell you what buttons to push to get what you want. And it's pretty easy. If I can do it, it's really easy. And I thought that was pretty cool. Plus it's got a couple other things. You can go in and play some songs if you want. Hit a certain button, it'll play songs like Star Spangled Banner, stuff like that.
That's cool.
It's kind of cool, yeah. And that I found that by mistake or by accident. But the DCC decoders anymore they're putting more and more stuff in them, and it's just fabulous. And then you link that up with what you can do with LEDs and fiber optics, and sky's the limit.
Humanity Junction, as Heath has just cleared up some of the stuff. He says all of those products are DCC LED controllers from different companies. They allow you to control the LEDs via JMRI or other DCC commands. You can set the CVs for different lighting effects. So, yeah, sort of what you were discussing before.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. I wasn't looking for something that I could set lighting effects from my DCC controller. But I know that on the ones from Model Train Technology, they have buttons on the little unit itself that you can use. In fact, they showed it in one of their videos. They showed that. But there again, I wasn't ready to get into that, so I didn't watch a lot of it. But it looked interesting. And I'll definitely, do more research when I get to that point where I'm starting to put buildings and stuff on the layout, and I want those lighting effects. But there again, sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned. What you can do with some of this stuff.
It's so
and
cool.
then you get into JMI and DigiKeys and some of the stuff that he's more into electronics than I am. So he's the one that needs to do a show on this. And we should have had him on today, actually.
Yeah, if you got a couple of minutes there, Heath, you're welcome to jump on.
Yeah, you can tell me how not to be formal when I'm talking.
You sound like
he
a
says,
teacher.
Jim at MTT, I'm assuming he's talking about Model Train Technologies, is a nice guy. So I'm assuming he's already spoken to him about lots of things.
Yeah. No, it doesn't surprise me that Heath found their site, because they got some neat stuff, and I don't remember what I was looking for when I found them. It may have been LEDs that I'd put into search, and their name came up, and I looked into it. But I didn't actually get any LEDs from them. I did get. I take it back. I did get some LEDs from them. I've got some caboose markers coming that already have the LEDs in them. So all I got to do is drill a hole and put it on the back of the caboose and then hook it to the pickups. I did get one of those kits, which I'm anxious to try. But I got the pickups because I got a sound card decoder, or a sound car decoder with the sheep and the cattle sounds and the wheels squeal and all that kind of stuff that I want to do. I got that from Soundtracks, or it's a Soundtracks decoder. I think I got it from Yankee Dabbler, actually.
Jason says he's still in bed.
No, that's
Come on.
Heath.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Heath. I said Jason.
Oh,
Yeah, Heath, man.
Don't ask him what he's wearing, please.
Maybe you should still be in bed, Steve.
Maybe. That could be.
He says Model Train Technologies has a decent internal lighting kit for passenger cars, card, I think he means passenger cars, with super caps to eliminate flickering. I'm guessing they're like keeper lives and stuff.
Yeah, they've got some neat stuff. Just in their gallery, just thumbing through their picture gallery, they show all these different passenger cars that have lights in them. Really look nice.
Another one that's
bright light, and they look real.
Another good one for those sorts of things is DCC Concepts. Now, just got to be a little bit careful with DCC Concepts because their stuff, whilst they're based in the UK, they do not go through suppliers and distributors. So their stuff comes directly from like NCE and stuff like that. So if you have any warranty issues, it's got to go all the way back to NCE, especially if you're here in Australia. Whereas if you buy from an Australian hobby shop, you're going to get it from the Australian supplier. So it doesn't have to go all the way back to, say, America, wherever NCE is in America. So, but DCC Concepts does have cool stuff. They have LEDs. They have a lot of these flicker free passenger car kits and all that sort of stuff as well. I will put that link in the description below. Have a look at their website. They've got some good stuff.
Yeah. In fact, I sent some stuff from them, turnout motors that I had bought that didn't work out for me. I sent them on to Heath. Just gave them to him because I didn't need them, and I'd opened them and kind of messed with them a little bit. So he said he was interested in them, so I just sent them to him. I don't know what he did with them, if he's used them yet or not, but those did come from DCC Concepts because Shannon had told me about them. And
I have used some of their decoders. I must admit, I wasn't a fan, but other stuff from them, you know, if you're just getting simple things like LEDs and stuff like that, yeah, they're good.
Well, and I had their little setup for those linear screw motors actually for turnouts, and they're made for picos is what they're actually made for. But I was going to use them on my hand laid ones, but I had to have a way to use the touch toggles that I'm going to use instead of using the regular toggle switch for my turnouts. I'm using touch toggles. So I got a hold of the guy from Barrett Hill Trains, which does the touch toggles, and was telling him what I had. And he said, oh, it's probably, and I can't remember what it was now, what kind of setup it was. He said, we have a translator that will talk to it. So I did have a way to go that way. But then once I decided to just go back with a tortoise and run a remote feed to the turnout, I just sent those on to Heath and didn't get the other stuff from Barrett Hill. So anyway, there's ways around things. If you just reach out to some of the vendors, they can really help you. And most of the guys, every place I've ever talked to, have just been fabulous to work with. Because they know, I think for one reason, they know that their clientele is limited and they've got to do customer service or they'll be gone. So most every vendor is really good to work with.
So go out there and support them as well, because they must all be doing it tough, just like you guys during the current showstopper. So
actually, I think that's there's a couple of industries that have really benefited from this, and one of them is the hobby industry and pretty much any kind of stuff. I go into Hobby Lobby here in town, not too far from me here, and they're out of a lot of stuff because they can't keep it in stock. It gets sold as soon as they get it because there's so many people sitting at home doing hobbies now.
So has anyone got any final questions regarding LEDs? Just so because we've only got 5 more minutes left. If you've got any other questions, feel free to email us as well, or leave the questions as a comment down below. Whilst we're already doing the last 5 minutes and things like that, don't forget to send us more topics. We love to hear more topics from you guys, because we want you guys to basically tell us what you want to talk about, because at the end of the day, it's your show. You know.
Yeah, make an intermission video for us.
Yes, intermission videos. Send us photos. Send us anything. We'll put it all together and we'll whack it in intermission.
Oh, and Al, if you're still here, Almar,
yes,
send me an email to that email that I put up. I'll put it up again.
And whilst we're all here as well, thank you for everyone that has joined us today. All the latecomers like Heath, Jack. We've got James Galton. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Who else have we got in here? Sean McGee, Bernard C. Fred Wild was in here, I think, as well.
Yep, I saw
and
Fred.
Roy's still here.
Yeah, Jack's here.
Yep.
Welcome.
I think I said Jack.
James Galton. Oh, there's Al. Set time limit on
there
YouTube.
He is.
Do we set a time limit on YouTube?
No, we just try to keep it to an hour, I think.
Jack says he's got scale trains on speed dial.
Yeah, Al, the link to our store. Let me put that back in here too.
Yes.
I'll have to fix that on the link that we've got set up. But that's the one to the sidetrack store right there.
I'll do that because I've got it open here.
Yeah,
oh,
that should be a good link there.
Why can't I copy and paste that?
And if I can get, I'll talk to you when you email me, Al, because I'm trying to get some long sleeve T-shirts in there and some sweatshirts, like hoodie sweatshirts, stuff like that. I'm trying to get some of those up there if somebody wants them. And but I've been having trouble getting that to join our store that we've got now. So I've got to get a hold of somebody at Teespring to get that fixed. But you'll send me an email. We'll get you fixed up with something.
You might have to send that link to me in the private chat there, Claude.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah, because I can't copy and paste it from here. It just keeps bringing it up as a thing at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Thanking you.
Okay, I put it on Hangouts.
Yep, seeing. I've just got to bring Hangouts up.
Yeah. Anyway, that's about time, isn't it?
About time.
Steve, quit talking so much.
Hey, why talk when you don't have anything to say?
If you've got nothing nice to say nothing at all.
Oh, I got nice things to say. I just don't know anything about LEDs.
Why can't?
And Roy's still on here too. I don't know. Was that Roy's video that he sent you, or he put on his? Did he put that on his channel?
Yeah.
Steve? That one you sent me, the link to it. That was cool, Roy.
Thanks.
Your visit
Roy.
with Steve. Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. Put link in the description.
Here we go.
That was a nice surprise, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool to watch.
That was a fun day. We had a blast. We chased trains and didn't see any.
How to win over Steve's wife so you can see Steve's layout.
Down.
You really. Oh.
Right. I think I have fixed the link.
Okay. Well, everybody, have a good week. Thanks for coming.
That's it. Yep. Take
Thanks
care, everyone.
Enjoy your Saturday.
And
yes,
enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We'll see you next week. Take care,
same,
all.
Same time, same channel.
That's
Bye.
it.
Later.
Oh.